So I thought I'd do a video of my guitars and my collection of guitars as they are currently, and go through kind of in date order from oldest to newest of my guitars. My very first guitar I can't actually show you because I've turned it into a light fitting with a spotlight through the middle of it. But that was an Encore Strat copy, very cheap, basic entry level into a guitar world. That you'd probably get laughed off the stage if you rocked up with one of those. But it was good for its time, I guess. So moving on to guitar number 2 swiftly. What I have here is I think they call it a Tobacco Sunburst. Tobacco Sunburst finished left hand Squier Stratocaster. It's called a Squier Strat. I don't think they can actually call it a Stratocaster because it isn't. But it's a sister company. Squire's a sister company to Fender, and it's a cheap entry level into the Stratocaster style body. And I've always been a fan of Strats, so this was my second Strat copy. But this is more of it's a step up from an entry level guitar I've had this for a very long time. I don't know how long, but I do remember where I purchased it from. I just can't remember what year it was. But yeah, rosewood neck, or rosewood fretboard, should I say. Finish on that. Again, the Tobacco Sunburst on the reverse side. I always played with the pickups, with the three pickups. I always played the Strats with the middle pickup up screwed right the way down on the adjustments, just to change the tones, the tonality between the pickups. Never really used the middle pickup that much, so that was screwed right down. The 5-way selector switch, listen to that. Bit clunky, but again, it's an entry level Stratocaster at the end of the day. But I always kind of alternated between the extreme bridge and neck pickups in any case, so I never really kind of filtered between the other three options. You can't really pick it up on camera, I guess, but the screws of where the pick is held in place, all those screws are actually rusted over, and there's a little bit of fast fracturing going on around the plastic, where the plastic's kind of been deformed by the over tensioning of these screws, because I've had this pick guard off several occasions and done various wiring modifications to this guitar over the years. It's from a wiring point of view, it's a little bit of a Frankenstein worth of guitar now, but because it's been tinkered with that much. But I like the fact that you can see some of the wear in the plastic over the years, where the plastic has just simply degraded. And then here as well on the pots, they've kind of gone like almost like a tobacco stained in the plastic, just where the UV inhibitors and things have just broken down in the plastics, and you're seeing the difference between the two. I like the look of that. It shows a kind of road-worn, old, aging guitar. You can buy road-worn guitars in guitar shops these days, but it's kind of like buying a pair of jeans with rips already in the knees. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's road-worn, but you haven't taken it anywhere. You haven't done anything. You haven't owned it for long enough for it to look like that. I don't get that road-worn imitation. I don't understand it. But yeah, I've had this for a number of years. Some of my guitars have had nicknames to them, and this one's no exception. This one was called, I call it Old Faithful. It's got nothing to do with rugby. It's more to do with the fact that no matter what I do with this, no matter where I have this guitar in humidity or anything or other, it very rarely goes that far out of tune. It really holds its tune rather well. The tremolo system is a one-way tremolo system. It's only where you can kind of depress it. You can't can't pull back on the bar. And there's some locking nuts on the head there as well. But yeah, beautiful guitar. I've always wanted a sunburst finish of a guitar as well. My very first sunburst, the first time I saw a sunburst finished guitar was on the reverse side of an album by Derek and the Dominos called Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs, and it was Eric Clapton's Brownie guitar. But yeah, the sunburst finish, I just think it looks really, it just looks boss, doesn't it? Look at that. So yeah, that's my second guitar. My third guitar that I kind of want to show is for me is a very 70s iconic looking guitar, and that is this one right here. I mean, you think of 70s guitarists and whatever, you know, the likes of Brian Robertson or Scott Gorham or Paul Kossoff or Jimmy Page or anybody like that. I always think of this style of guitar, and this is an Epiphone Les Paul copy, left hand. So there's the, pick that up, there's the Epiphone, Les Paul signature, and it's the Les Paul 100 standard. Really, really love this guitar, really love the shape of this guitar. It's probably my favourite shape of guitar, if that makes any sense. Very, very iconic. I love the fact that the strings are so raised off the neck there because of that fixed bridge right there. Really love that. The pots on here, they're plastic, so they're kind of an imitation, the plastic, but I like the fact that they're kind of opaque like that. I do like that. That adds a little bit of style into it, a little bit of class, I guess. 3-way selector switch at the top, unlike the Strats where you can accidentally catch the selector switch. That's kind of a bit of a negative thing, I guess, over Stratocasters. You can, when you're strumming particularly, although I don't play a rhythm guitar that much, you can catch a selector switch on Strats, but having it up here, it's just a logical choice of, well, where do you put that selector switch? You know, let's put it in this space here. Brilliant, brilliant. My one greatest criticism of this guitar is the raised, talks about the raised strings from the bridge, but it's this pick guard right here. There's only one metal strut there, only one metal support holding that pick guard in place, and if you listen to this, what's that? You know, and sometimes I'll plant my little finger on the pick guard as a support, rather than my palm of my hand up here. I'll put my little finger on the pick guard, particularly if I'm doing any sort of, or imitating any sort of palm muting or anything like that. I'll be raised off, and that's terrible. That's terrible. And basically it's just because there's two intersecting plastic parts there that are just fouling on each other, and that's what you're hearing. But if there was a couple of additional supports, you wouldn't get that so much. But yeah, that's my one major criticism. I do think it's a major fail, that you don't want to be hearing that. Not that I do that much recording, but that has been picked up on recording many times. Nevertheless, I love this sunburst finish. The red around the outside, you know, and some other copies, the kind of orange on the outside, but I love the sunburst on that. Beautiful guitar. The back of the guitar, it's got this, again, it's continued this red look, this kind of red, deep mahogany look. You're looking at the grain of the wood. It's clearly not mahogany. It's imitation. Again, it's, if you will, it's a bit like the Squier Strat. This is your entry level, I guess, to your Gibson Les Pauls. But the Epiphone, yeah, brilliant, brilliant guitar. Brilliant entry level guitar. Absolutely fantastic. The plate on the back, embossed, Tennessee, I believe it is, Nashville, Tennessee Epiphone Company. Brilliant. So that was guitar number 3, and I've just fitted that with a Rotosound basic guitar strap. Guitar number 4. Let me think. Guitar number 4 is a bit of a Frankenstein. So guitar number 4 is a hand-built kit. The neck came from a kit. The headstock there was a little bit of a, it kind of represents a little bit of an oar, kind of like a paddle. That's what I was going for at the time. And the body of the guitar is kind of obviously imitating a Telecaster. I do like Telecasters, but I've never really wanted to own an official one. But in terms of actually making your own guitar, the Telecaster shape it's a really easy shape to template out and router all of the edges and the curves on that. Yeah, this was made out of, I think it was made out of alder, which most guitar bodies are. And then what I did was I stained it on, went through several stains, Ronseal stains, and then wood stain or wood dye. And then to get that kind of sheen on it, I just I put a few coats of yachting varnish on it. Electric kit into the pickups, little humbucker style pickup on the neck there. Metal pots with a kind of a nailed finish. So again, if you're playing over a long sustained period of time or whatever, you're under some spotlights and you're getting a bit hot, the nailing on those dials as opposed to the plastic ones, you can just rotate them. Really smooth action as well for a kit, for a purchase kit. But yeah, the bodywork, great stuff. Bodywork was great. A few little mistakes. I don't know if you can pick that up. There's a little bit of filler in there where I blew a little bit of the wood out. And there's actually a little piece here as well, which was actually masking taped over. And because I thought the neck would go further in. I never finished it. I never put the yachting varnish on there to cover it. So it's kind of a bit of bare wood there showing. This guitar was used because I was trying to get into kind of like a bottleneck slide sort of thing, a kind of like a Duane Allman sort of slide guitar work with the balls, and this guitar worked absolutely great for that because of the adjustments on here at the bridge. And again, look at the action on that is very, very high. That's unconventionally high for a normal guitar, but for a slide guitar, I think it kind of works rather well. The kit came with some strings. I swapped those strings out. I don't know what those strings were. Most guitars, when I purchase a guitar, I tend to swap the strings out in any case. I'm kind of, I don't know a great deal, but I'm kind of brand loyal to the strings that work for me, and I've always used Ernie Ball strings, and this hand-built kit thing, this Frankenstein guitar, I'm sure has got Ernie Ball strings on it as well. But the actions are all a mess. It's not professionally set up. It's just set up to how, or what I was trying to imitate when trying to get into slide guitar, and failing miserably at slide guitar. So that is my, what's that now? That's my 1, 2, 3. This is my 4th guitar, hand built. It holds some sentimental value to this, and but deep down, and there's a bit of emotion attached to this guitar, but I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, a beautiful kit of guitar. Bought the kit online for about £80, and did what I needed to do to get the effect of what I wanted. So that's that one. My next guitar is one of my best guitars. And this is hung up on the wall. This is my 2002 Fender Stratocaster. Left hand, that's my Fender Stratocaster 2002. Telltale giveaways that it's a genuine Fender because of that there is kind of embossed into the wood. It's not a sticker. You got the plastic section there around the truss rod. Beautiful, beautiful guitar. Again, similar to what I did with the Squier, my second guitar. The middle pickup is actually screwed further down. Again, just to balance the sound and get that kind of tonality that I quite like. But again, very, very rare do I use any of the other points on the selector switch. It is just up and down on the neck and bridge pickups primarily. Easy to catch, but again, you listen to that, might not be able to pick it up on a phone, but that's a lot. The transition is a lot sweeter, a lot smoother than the Squier, and that's what you kind of get for the build quality of a genuine Fender Stratocaster. 2002 Olympic white, maple neck, and do you know what? It was my first maple neck guitar. It's my only maple neck guitar, but I absolutely love maple neck guitars. You get a lot of people in guitar shops that say, oh, the maple, it resonates a lot better than the rosewood and this, that and the other. You know, far for me to question that, but not to these ears. I don't hear any difference whatsoever. The only major difference for me from a functionality kind of aspect is that if you're playing in areas where it's kind of like dimly lit, you can see the fretboard more. You can see the fretboard easier. You can see the black markers, the black location dots on your fretboard over a maple background a lot better, I think, than you can the rosewood with silver dots. That for me is a big advantage. And but say getting familiarised and knowing your fretboard, you should know that already. But but the maple neck, yeah, absolutely love the maple. I mean, when you've got the maple effect going all the way around the guitar, around the neck, around the kind of D of the neck, you know, when you look at the rosewoods, it just kind of looks, well, it is. It's just glued on. It's just in essence, it's just a laminate. But the maple, fantastic. Again, I bought this a few years ago. I bought it from a music shop in Liverpool, and the tremolo system. It's a two-way tremolo system, so you got the backward rocking motion on the tremolo arm. There is a little bit of slack in the tremolo arm. They normally come with like a small spring, and you actually have to insert the spring into the tremolo socket and then wind that tremolo arm in, and it tightens it up. But it never came with a spring in it, and it was a brand new guitar. It was a kind of like hung up in the rafters of this guitar shop, and there was a bit of a Wayne's World moment really to to purchasing this guitar. I needed to get this guitar. You see that guitar, and I don't know, I just kind of think of your Jimi Hendrixes. It's easy to think of people like that, or your Stevie Ray Vaughns, or your Richie Blackmores again. Beautiful guitar. Customed it out with a guitar strap. It looks, the pattern on that looks very 70s, very retro. But the actual reverse of it is it's a seatbelt. So it's actually made of recycled material, and it's from a woman who does these out in New York. So this came from New York, and old recycled 70s style seatbelts with a bit of a pattern to the front and leathered edges, and beautifully stitched in. No locking nuts or anything. I don't bother with anything like that. I don't really need to. But yeah, great. Nice strap for a great Strat. That's all I can say to that. The guard on the plate on the back that holds the neck in place. Again, I don't know if you can pick that up there, but that's actually Richie Blackmore on the back there. So I've got a CNC etched image of Richie Blackmore on the back of the guitar, one of my guitar heroes. And I play a lot of Deep Purple and a lot of Rainbow stuff on this guitar, and it's the Excalibur of the guitars for me. It's one of my favourites, and I think it forever always will be. Like I say, if the Les Paul has got a great contoured body and very stylistic, the playability and the user function between instrument and artist or instrument and player, you won't get a better guitar. I don't think. It's a very, very well-rounded guitar, whether it's rock and roll, whether it's country, whether it's hard rock. This guitar will do everything you need it to do. Just a fantastic, fantastic instrument. Well constructed, and it's a 50s Leo Fender 50s designed guitar, and it's rarely seen any incremental changes since its inception. There's no need to. It does exactly what it says on the tin. Beautiful guitar. My next guitar that I have, electric, that I have, is a guitar that I bought this guitar from York, Banks Music in York, and a bit of a shout out there to Banks Music in York, actually, because they're one of the last few standing guitar shops or music shops where the staff really seem to care about what they do, and that they don't want to sell you anything nasty. Great guitar shop, great music shop, and like I say, the employees, they really know their stuff. You know, it's not kind of a run of the mill going through a motion. They're really passionate about what they do, and I like that. So this guitar is a Gretsch, just to throw a spanner in there. So that's the Gretsch Electromatic. Really nice. You think of Gretsch guitars, you know, I think of people like George Harrison. I believe he played a Gretsch. Rickenbackers and Gretsch guitars, and I think a Gretsch was used on a couple of Bryan Adams tracks as well. But yeah, to be honest with you, I don't really know too much about Gretsch guitars, other than when I saw this guitar in Banks Music, I knew it was a work of art. I knew it was an instrument that, you know, you've got to be really seriously into your music to have one of these guitars. It's a very stylized guitar. I put kind of Gretsch, the brand, up there with your kind of your PRSs, your Paul Reed Smiths, and all those sort of very artisan type guitars. They're kind of like the Harley Davidsons, I guess, if you will, of the guitar world. You know, it's very, very branded. It's very iconic, and what you're getting is just a thing of beauty. What I like about this is there's no actual strap on this just yet, but these nailed dowels, actually, they unscrew, and I really like that. So rather than kind of forcing the strap over the kind of raised knob there, you kind of unscrew them and screw them in, so you're not kind of stretching out the eyelet in the guitar strap, and you kind of just self-locking, you know, and away you go. Fantastic idea. I mean, why are other guitar manufacturers pinching that? Maybe some sort of pattern, I don't know. The Gretsch on the dowels here, you get the G. You can't make that out, I don't think, but you get the G on the top of the pots. Fantastic. Again, you've got this nailed finish along the edging, and it's a little sloppy Joe there, but they're only tightened up with little grub screws. All metal, no plastic there at all. Fantastic. Scratch board or pick guard. There's a little bit of flex in there, but nowhere near as much as what we saw in the Les Paul copy on the Epiphone. Master volumes, controls, and then your three-way selector switch up at the top, very similar to your Les Paul. But the effect and the finish on that, and that kind of, I'm pretty sure it's just kind of like a brushed stainless, but it's got that kind of chrome effect, and showing that on the black, oh, that just looks classy, doesn't it? Look at that. That just looks classy. And I love these kind of, again, I love this kind of, it looks like brushed aluminium or something like that, but it's actually, it's plastic, but it's got this kind of perloid effect. But I love the fret markers on this. It's brilliant. First guitar that I actually seen where you've got a 1 at the top there, so you fret start at 1 as opposed to 3. So you know you're starting there as opposed to in the G position. But yeah, beautiful guitar. Again, the contour, you can't really see too much of that because of it being black, and I'm wearing a black t-shirt. But the contours, it just oozes quality, this guitar. Weight-wise, it's not as weighty as the Les Paul and the Les Paul copy, and it does seem a little bit more balanced, a little bit more well balanced. Great guitar, great sounding guitar. I spent too much time talking about the sound because you can get a little bit of sound manipulation now through amplifiers, and your amplifiers can make a guitar sound like anything you want it to sound like, but it's about the interaction between the player and the user interface, if you will, the tonality, the intonation. Very low to the fretboard is the action on this. About as low as I can probably get it without getting any kind of string buzz on any of the frets, particularly when using, obviously, within the higher gauges of the strings at the low end of the tone. Again, all my strings are any ball strings. I think the Super Slink Pinks or something, or whatever they are. They start off with, I think it starts with a gauge 10 or a gauge 11 for the low E string. Oh, and the back of the guitar, there's no bolt on neck. It's all one through piece, and it's got this plastic kind of molding that goes over it. So there's no break there. There's no break showing. There's no contours. It's all one piece. I say black, but I'm looking at that and it's kind of like it almost looks like a deep blue, I think, from here, from what I'm seeing. But yeah, beautiful guitar. Very well styled. The plastic has faded ever so slightly again, but I don't mind that because again you're getting that natural road wearing look, and over time, and you know, why not? These are items to cherish and love. So much love into this guitar. Very stylish, iconic. Yes, some great features, some great ideas that are a little bit, you know, out there and away from what the Gibsons and the Fenders do. So hats off to Gretsch manufacturing companies, and like I say, a big shout out to Banks Music for this guitar, for recommending it. My last guitar, my most recent, is another Epiphone, and it's based off, well, it's Tony Iommi's guitar basically. This is the Epiphone SG model. Again, it's a copy because it's Epiphone, it's not a Gibson SG, but it's based off, if you will, Iommi's Gibson SG Monkey guitar, I believe. And but the black, very 80s, black scratch plate with a kind of a 2 or a 3 ply with this white banded trim around it. I don't think the original models had that. This is, I think it's a 2015 model. 3-way selector switch down at the bottom there, where similar to where the strap position is. Your 4 pots there for your volume and tone controls between your 2 US humbucker, Tony Iommi signature humbuckers. Again, it gives you that really kind of fuller sound, whereas your single coil pickups that you have on your Strats are they can be quite thin in the sound bar, in the sounds. The humbuckers could just give you that more fulfilled kind of, the sound just hits you like you're in some sort of auditorium, you know, it just blows your head off. 24 jumbo frets as opposed to 22. Again, this, it looks like, it's meant to look like brushed aluminium. I don't really know what the material is, but in the fret markers you have the crosses, and obviously as the frets get smaller, so do the crosses across the neck there, but right the way up there. And then again, the 1 fret marker at the at fret number 1 there. Beautiful, beautiful guitar. My slight criticisms of this guitar is I haven't had this guitar all that long, and it is starting to show signs of pitting and wearing on the tuning pegs. It is starting to show bits of wear on there, and just, all right, yeah, it needs a good clean, but it's just starting to show bits of wear and what have you. And it's probably through to salts and sweaty hands, I guess, constantly tuning this. And I will say constantly tuning, because it does tend to go out of tune rather easy. And that would be my one major criticism of that. But other than that, very, very light, extremely light guitar this, very, very light. I think it's made out of 3 pieces, as most conventional guitars are. But very, very light wood. I don't know what the wood is. Most of them are older. It's hard to say, isn't it, really, when it's coated and lacquered up and whatever, and all the rest of it. You can't really see any grain in it because of the amount of plastic over it. But beautiful, beautiful guitar. A true replica of the Tony Iommi sound. A true replica of his SG. And yeah, on the back there you've got the authenticity and the quality markers from Epiphone, and moreover you've got a print there of Tony Iommi's signature to show that it is actually a genuine 2015 Tony Iommi signature Epiphone SG. And what an absolute beautiful guitar this is. And if I'm going to play any kind of Black Sabbath covers or any kind of Tony Iommi covers, it's got to be on this guitar, surely. Grab that guitar, you know, and you're away, you know, you're kind of imitating your heroes, and you know, why not? So in terms of signature models, and I've seen a few signature models, this is the one that I wanted to own. A little bit of an affinity with Black Sabbath and Tony Iommi, partly down to that for as long as I can remember I've been a Black Sabbath fan, and Tony Iommi is left-handed and I'm left-handed. So I see some of these signature models, and I've seen this SG in right-handed signature model, and that for me is, to be a little bit of a purist on that, you can only really get a signature model if it's left-handed, because the player's left-handed. So a little bit of snob value there from myself. But left-handed, Tony Iommi, signature model. The humbuckers, wow, like I said, I've mentioned it already, but the sound you get from them, the fuller, wide gamut you get of sound, oh my, you know, really, you know you're in kind of heavy metal territory just by hearing the sound, even if you're playing something in standard tuning, where, you know, and then, you know, you tune this down half a step or whatever, and play some open string stuff, or you know, it's gonna sound epic, purely for the fact of these, like I say, these Tony Iommi USA signature humbucker pickups that he worked so hard in the 70s and early 80s to develop the sound. Part of the sound partly came from down tuning and thicker strings and various bottle tops and prosthesis that he had on two of his fingers after an accident that was well documented over and over and over. But the sound of these pickups are just, there's something else. Absolutely fantastic, fantastic guitar. It just looks evil, doesn't it? Really good guitar. Beautiful guitar. And that brings us up to present day of my current crop of guitars in my collection. Thanks very much.